Hello learners of all ages, my name is Mr. Montgomery and I teach 4th and 5th grade math, and today we're going to be talking about what is a million. Now, in our previous lesson we talked about different types of place values on the place value chart. And we talked about how they're divided up into essentially groups, or we call those groups periods, and every period has 3 place values. We talked about the ones period and the thousands period, but today we're going to be talking about the millions period. Now, something that they want us to go over just before we get started is that when we go to the left of the place value chart, every single place that you go up in the place value chart is 10 times greater than the previous mark. So let's just, for example, say that we're in the tens place right now, and we're trying to move to the hundreds place. Well, if I'm in the tens place, and I'm moving up 1 place value, that means the hundreds place is going to be 10 times the value of the tens place. And then eventually we're going to get to the part where if we go further to the right on the place value chart, then we're going to have to multiply times 1/10, or it's 10 times smaller. But we'll get to that later on in our lessons. But we're trying to figure out what is exactly a million. Well, if I look at my thousands period, the greatest thousands period spot is the 100,000s place. Well, if I have 100,000, and I know that the next place value to the left is a million, I know that 1 million should be 10 times greater than 100,000. Well, that's a lot of zeros. And so a trick that I teach my students whenever we have things that end in a lot of zeros, or if anything is in base 10, is there's a zeros trick. I know that I have an equal sign, which means that what I have on this side should be the same value as the other side. That's what equal means. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros on 100,000. And I have 1 0 in 10. So that means I have 6 zeros altogether, which means I know that I have 6 zeros in my answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and all I have left are 2 things. I have the ones, and I also have the comma. We'll get to the comma in a little bit. But I have 1 times 1, which is 1. And now I'm going to be going for place value. So I'm going to be using my place value chart. I know that periods are divided up into 3 place values. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, comma. Okay, starting at the end. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. 1, 2, 3, comma. And 100,000 times 10 is 1 million. It shows that if I start at 100,000 and try to go to millions, 1 million place value is 10 times greater than the 100,000s. And let's work with millions as a word problem. One of the examples that the book has is a business needs to order 1 million sheets of printing paper. The paper comes in cases of 1,000 sheets. How many cases of paper should the business order? All right, so whenever we're working with word problems, we have to figure out what the question that they're asking us to solve. They're asking us, how many cases of paper should the business order? And we know that we can write down the information that we do know. We know that we're trying to get to 1 million sheets of paper, and each set of paper or cases of paper come in 1,000 sheets. So I'm trying to get from thousands place value all the way to millions place value. Well, if I go from thousands to 10,000s, that's 1 place value. From 10,000s to 100,000s, that's 2 place values. And from 100,000s to millions, that's 3 place value. Okay, another way that I could look at that, we know that that's 3 place value. I'm going to put 3 place value over here. So I move over 3 place values. All right, so that means that I have to add times, 1,000 times, if I have 3 more place values, it's 3 more zeros, and a 1. So it should be 1,000 times 1,000. Well, let's try that out. 1,000 times 1,000. 1,000 times 1,000. We're going to use that zeros trick that we talked about that only works with base 10 and only works with they're all zeros. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 times 1 is 1. Add my commas. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, comma. So my answer should be, it should be 1,000 cases of paper to get from 1,000 all the way to 100,000, because going from 1,000 to a million, 1,000 to a million should be 1,000 times greater. So let's take a look at our practice problem in workbook page number 3. Now, practice problem number 1, they have a chart that we need to fill out. The directions specifically say, fill in the blanks. Well, we're working with base 10, so we're gonna use our place value chart to help us out. Well, 10 times 1, we can solve that one out just by ourselves. 10 times 1 is 10, good job. So I have 10. All right, so now we're gonna have to use our zeros trick for the remainder of our fill in the blank process. So I have 2 zeros on this side of the equation for 100, but I only have 1 zero right now. So how many zeros are missing? Yeah, it's 2, because both sides need to have 2 zeros. 2 zeros on this side, and I know that I'm gonna have to have 2 zeros on this side, and I know if I have 1 on this side, 1 on this side, it's 1 times something should equal 1. So 1 times 1. Well, let's check out. Does 10 times 10 equal 100? Yeah, it sure does. Now, if I'm going from 1,000 on this side, and I have 1, 2, 3 zeros on this side, and only 1 on this side, I know that I'm gonna have to have how many zeros? Yeah, 2. 2 zeros. 1, 2, and we know that 1 times something is gonna equal to 1. 1 times 1, yes. Let's check it out. Well, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 times 1 is 1, perfect. So now that we've got that pattern established, looking at what one side is equal to for how many zeros we have, and it has to have the same zeros on the other side, why don't you fill in the rest of our fill in the blank session and bring it to class.